Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
What if the darkest moment of your life was not trying to destroy you? What if it was trying to teach you something about who you really are? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you today is not a sermon. It's not a self-help lecture. It's a conversation, the kind you have with someone who has sat beside you in the dark and held your hand without flinching. I want to talk to you about spiritual grounding, about the radical, healing power of prayer, and about what it really means to find your sanctuary when the world has taken almost everything from you. Maybe you're going through something right now that you haven't been able to name out loud. A loss, a betrayal, a diagnosis, a relationship that quietly broke apart, a season of life that looks nothing like you imagined it would. And here's what I want you to know. Right from the beginning, you are not being punished. I've spent decades working with women, brilliant, resilient, deeply loving women, who came to me in the middle of their darkest seasons and said some version of the same thing. I don't understand why this is happening to me. I must have done something wrong. Maybe I'm not worthy of a different life. And every single time, my heart broke. Not because their pain wasn't real, it was devastatingly real, but because they had confused suffering with punishment. And those are not the same thing. Not even close. Here's what the research, and more importantly, here's what human wisdom across every culture and every century tells us about dark times. Darkness is not the absence of grace. Darkness is often the beginning of it. The Japanese have a concept called wabi-sabi, the art of finding beauty in imperfection, in impermanence, in incompleteness. The broken places in a bowl, they say, are where gold is poured in to heal it. That process is called kintsugi, and it makes the bowl more beautiful than it was before it broke. You, my dear, are not a broken bowl waiting to be discarded. You are a bowl being filled with gold. But let's be honest with each other, because this is a space for honesty. There are mornings when it takes everything you have just to get out of bed. There are nights when the silence in your house is so loud it feels like it's screaming. There are moments when you pick up your phone to call someone, and then you put it back down because you don't want to be a burden. Can I tell you something about that? That instinct, that quiet, self-protective act of not reaching out, that is one of the most common wounds I see in women of your generation. You were raised to be strong. You were raised to hold it together. You were raised to be the sanctuary for everyone else. But who has been your sanctuary? You cannot pour from an empty soul. Healing begins the moment you give yourself the same grace you have always given everyone else. Now, I want to talk to you about this word that I use a great deal in my work: grounded. For too long, that word has been hijacked by wellness culture and turned into something that sounds like it requires yoga pants and a meditation app. But I want to give it back to you in its truest, oldest, most sacred meaning. To be grounded means to know where you are rooted. It means that when the storms of life arrive, and they always do, you are not swept away because something deep inside you holds firm. Think about the oldest tree you've ever seen. Think about how many storms it has survived, and then notice it did not survive those storms by being rigid. It survived by being deeply, profoundly rooted. That is what spiritual grounding offers you. Not a life without storms, but a root system so deep that the storms can no longer sweep you away. In my work as a psychologist, I've identified 3 roots that ground a woman in her most difficult seasons. I want to walk you through all 3 today. The first root is presence, the practice of being exactly where you are, not where your fear wants to drag you. The second root is connection to something larger than yourself, whether that is God, nature, community, or the quiet voice within you that has never once stopped believing in your survival. The third root is practice. Not perfection, not certainty, not a perfectly recited prayer with perfectly bowed head. Just the daily faithful, sometimes messy act of showing up for your own soul. Let's start with presence, because it is the one that so many of us are most starved of. When we are in pain, our minds do something extraordinary. They time travel. They go back to every regret, every choice we wish we'd made differently. And then they leap forward to every fear, every worst-case scenario. And we end up living in neither the past nor the future, but in a kind of purgatory between them. Presence says, come back to this breath, this chair, this heartbeat. This moment right here, which is the only one you actually have. And I know what you might be thinking, but the present moment is exactly where my pain is. And you're right, it is. But here's the profound truth: pain lives in the present, but so does grace. Now, let's talk about connection, because this is where I want to be very careful and very honest with you. I am not here to tell you what to believe. Your faith is your own. Your relationship with the divine, whatever name you call it, belongs entirely to you. What I am here to tell you is what the science says, and what 5,000 years of human wisdom also says. Women who maintain a sense of spiritual connection during their darkest seasons recover with more wholeness than those who don't. Researchers at Harvard Medical School, some of the most rigorously skeptical scientific minds in the world, found that people who prayed or meditated regularly had measurably lower cortisol levels, stronger immune function, and greater emotional resilience than those who didn't. This is not magic. This is biology responding to the ancient wisdom of surrender. When you pray, you are not just sending words into the void. You are activating the deepest centers of your nervous system. You are telling your body it is safe to release this now. I am not alone in this. Prayer is not asking God to change your circumstances. Prayer is allowing God to change you within your circumstances. That is where the real healing lives. I want to spend some sacred time here talking about prayer. Not the kind that feels like a performance. Not the kind you feel guilty about because you can't find the right words, or because you haven't been to church in months, or because lately, honestly, it's felt like you were shouting into silence. I want to talk about prayer as it really is at its core, an honest conversation between your most vulnerable self and the most loving presence you can imagine. You know what I find most remarkable about prayer? The most powerful prayers I've ever encountered, in my work, in my own life, in the accounts of people who have walked through the valley of the shadow of death, are not eloquent. They're not poetic. They sound like, I don't understand this. I'm exhausted. I need help. Please. That's it. And that is enough. I want to share something with you. Over the years, I've worked with many women who came to me after profound loss. After the death of a husband, after a cancer diagnosis, after watching a child lose their way. And again, I witnessed something that the clinical journals struggle to fully explain. The women who found their way through, not around, but through, were the ones who refused to stop praying, even when they felt God was silent. One woman I'll never forget, I'll call her Margaret, lost her husband of 42 years to a sudden heart attack. She told me 3 months into our work together that every morning she woke up, she lay in the bed they had shared, and she prayed out loud. She said, I don't know if he hears me, but I'm not willing to stop talking to him, because the moment I stop, I'm truly alone. 2 years later, Margaret was running a grief support group at her church. She was teaching other women how to pray their way through darkness. She found her sanctuary, not outside of her pain, but within it. That word, sanctuary, I want to dwell on it with you for a moment. Most of us think of a sanctuary as a place, a church, a chapel, a quiet room. And yes, those places matter enormously. But the deepest sanctuary, the one that no storm can ever take from you, is not a location. It's a practice. The sanctuary within you is the place where your truest self, the one not shaped by grief, or by other people's expectations, or by fear, lives and breathes. And prayer. Prayer is the door to that sanctuary. Every time you pray, even a halting, messy, desperate prayer, you are choosing to walk through that door. You are choosing to say, I am more than this suffering. There is something in me that cannot be broken. Now I want to talk about something that doesn't often come up in conversations about prayer and spirituality, but that I think is absolutely essential: the necessity of spiritual boundaries. We live in a world full of voices telling us who we should be, how we should pray, whether our faith is enough, whether we're doing it right. We have family members who question our choices. We have well-meaning friends who offer us theology when what we need is a hand to hold. And part of what it means to be spiritually grounded is learning to set boundaries, loving, firm, graceful boundaries around your own interior life. You do not have to defend your prayer life. You do not have to explain why you find God in the garden and not in the pew, or in the pew and not in the garden. Your spiritual practice belongs to you. Grace does not need your permission to show up, and it does not require an audience. Spiritual grounding is not about having all the answers. It is about being deeply rooted enough to hold the questions without being destroyed by them. If this is speaking to something in your heart right now, please share this video with one sister or friend who needs to hear these words today. She may not ask for help, but she is waiting for exactly this. You could be the answered prayer she didn't know how to say. Now, let's get very practical. Because wisdom that stays abstract doesn't change lives. I want to give you what I call the 3-part honest prayer. This is not a formula. It's not a magic incantation. It's simply a structure that gives your most honest self permission to speak. Tell the truth. Start your prayer by saying exactly what is real. Not what you think you should feel. Not what sounds spiritual. What is actually true in your body, in your heart, in this moment? Today I am afraid. Today I am angry. Today I cannot see a way forward. Say it, all of it. God, if you believe in God, is not fragile. He can hold your anger. He can hold your doubt. He can hold your grief. Ask for what you actually need, not what you think is possible, not what seems reasonable. What do you truly, deeply need right now? Ask for it, with specificity, with vulnerability, with trust. I need to feel held. I need to believe that this is not the end of my story. I need enough strength to get through this one day. Release. This is the most difficult part for many women. Because releasing does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to place what you cannot control into hands larger than your own. I am choosing today to release the outcome. I am choosing to trust that something is working in this that I cannot yet see. I am choosing to let go of what I cannot carry. Now, I want to give you 5 very specific grounding practices, things you can begin doing today in your ordinary, beautifully imperfect life, that will begin to shift something in you at a cellular level. The sacred morning pause. Before you check your phone, before you read the news, before you engage with anyone else's needs, give yourself 5 minutes of complete quiet, that's all. 5 minutes. In that silence, just breathe and let yourself arrive in your own life. The gratitude and grief practice. Each morning, name one thing you are grateful for and one thing you are grieving. Both are real. Both deserve to be witnessed. This practice honors the fullness of your humanity. The threshold prayer. Each time you are about to enter a difficult situation, a hard conversation, a doctor's appointment, a family gathering, pause at the door. Literally pause at the threshold. Take one deep breath and say something like, I do not go into this alone. Grace goes with me. The evening releasing. Before you sleep, take 5 slow breaths. With each exhale, consciously release one burden from the day. You are not carrying this into sleep with you tonight. Sabbath for the soul. Once a week, give yourself 1 hour that belongs entirely to your spirit. Walk in nature. Sit in a church. Write. Sing. Pray. Do nothing. Whatever that hour looks like for you, protect it. Set a boundary around it. It is not a luxury. It is medicine. And now I want to address the elephant in the room. Because if I've been in this work long enough, and I have, I know that some of you are watching this and thinking, this all sounds beautiful. But I have prayed. I have prayed until my throat was raw and my knees ached and my eyes had no more tears in them. And the silence was deafening. I hear you. I hear you completely. Can I share with you something that has brought me, and many women I have worked with, an enormous amount of peace? The silence of God is not the same as the absence of God. In music, a rest, those quiet, empty spaces between notes, is not a mistake. It is as much a part of the composition as the notes themselves. Some of the most profound music ever written is primarily silence, with sound arranged around it. Your life is a composition. And right now, you may be in a rest. But the music is not over. The next note is coming. And it will be more beautiful for the silence that preceded it. Here's another truth I want to offer you. Because our culture is desperately allergic to it, healing is not linear. You will have a Tuesday where the sun comes through the window and you feel, for the first time in months, like yourself again. And then you will have a Wednesday that pulls you back under. This does not mean you are failing. This means you are healing. Healing in its truest form looks like a spiral. You return to the same territories of pain, but each time you are a little higher, a little stronger, a little more grounded than before. And prayer, consistent, honest, imperfect, faithful prayer, is what widens the spiral. It is what ensures that each time you return to the difficult terrain, you have more root beneath you than you did the last time. Healing is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is the quality of attention you bring to each ordinary moment along the way. I want to close the distance between us right now. I want to speak directly to you. Yes, you, watching this, you have carried so much. You have been strong when strength was demanded. You have been soft when love required it. You have shown up for your children, your husbands, your parents, your friends. You have absorbed loss after loss and still found a way to set the table and hold the family together. And I am here to say to you today, with every ounce of professional training and lived wisdom I possess, you deserve the same quality of love and grace that you have given to every other living being in your world. You are allowed to be held. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be the one who needs something without apologizing for it. One of the most misunderstood aspects of dark seasons is what they are actually doing to us, not just what they are taking. Research in post-traumatic growth, and this is one of the most hopeful bodies of research I have ever encountered, shows that a significant number of people who go through profound suffering come out on the other side, having developed qualities they did not possess before. Greater compassion, deeper wisdom, a clearer sense of what actually matters, a capacity for joy that is more profound precisely because they have also known grief. The woman you are becoming, through this darkness, through this prayer, through this faithful, daily practice of showing up for your own soul. She is extraordinary. She is not who you were before. She is more. I want to try something. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment, if it's safe to do so. I want you to picture a younger version of yourself, maybe 20 years old, maybe 30, scared about something, not sure if she's enough. Now I want you to imagine that you could whisper something into her ear, just one truth from everything this life has taught you. What would it be? Whatever just came to your heart, that is the message that your life has been trying to give you all along. That is the wisdom you have earned. That is your own inner sanctuary speaking. The most powerful prayer you will ever speak is not about changing your circumstances. It is the quiet, courageous decision to show up, exactly as you are, and trust that you are enough for this moment. Before I leave you with a closing prayer, I want to ask you one more thing. Think right now of one woman in your life who is in a dark season. Maybe she told you. Maybe she didn't, but you could see it in her eyes the last time you saw her. Maybe it's the friend who's been a little too quiet lately. Maybe it's your sister. Maybe it's your daughter. Share this video with her. Today. Not when you get around to it. Today. Tell her, I thought of you when I watched this. You are not alone in what you're carrying. Someone sees you. I see you. That message might be the most powerful prayer you offer today, because sometimes God speaks through us to reach someone who has stopped believing they can still be reached. And so we come to the close of this conversation. Not the close of your journey, that continues, but the close of this sacred hour we have shared together. Let me offer you a closing affirmation. Receive it as a prayer, or as a gentle reminder, or simply as the words of someone who believes, deeply and without reservation, in your capacity to carry what you carry and to be transformed by it. Take a slow breath with me now. May you know in the marrow of your bones that you are not alone in this. May the ground beneath you feel solid even on the days when your legs are shaking. May your prayers, every one of them, even the ones made of tears and silence, reach exactly where they need to go. May you find your sanctuary, not only in the quiet places you seek, but in your own remarkable, resilient, grace-filled heart. May you remember, on the hardest mornings and the loneliest nights, that healing is already at work in you, that grace is already surrounding you, that the darkness, as deep as it is not the final word. The final word is yours, it always has been. With all my heart, go well, go gently, and go always in grace.